Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Mona's Rants. I am your host, Mona Sheikh. You guys, lots going on. Hi, James. Nice to see you. James says, all right, the great Johnny Wendell is on tonight. Yes, he is. Very excited to have him back as always. And then James said, Mitch want Trump be impeached. I have doubts that Pelosi and Schumer want him impeached. Actually, they do. They both want him impeached. And to talk about that, and plus the FBI and Department of Justice press conference, which was amazing. Here is our very own Johnny Wendell. How are you?
Hi, Mona. How are you?
How are you? Are you wearing a pussy hat?
I am wearing a pussy hat, proudly.
Oh, I'm so honored. It's so nice.
Yeah. On New Year's Eve, we did this over Facebook broadcast webcast thing, me and the other two guys in the band, Mike Rube.
Yeah.
And I wore the pussy hat, because I really love this hat. It's a cool hat because it's nice and it's loose and it's warm. It's not like a knit beanie, which can be a drag.
Yeah.
But when we were playing, and I saw the playback of some of it, it's like, that pussy hat is cool looking on top of everything else. It's different, because it's not jokey looking like it's a pair of horns or something like a devil's hat.
Yeah.
And also,
and you're making a statement, Johnny. You're making a statement simultaneously while looking warm and cool and awesome. You're also making a statement. So.
Yeah, and on the day of the Women's March in 2017, I went. I didn't have the hat then. This was made for me by a friend of mine.
That's lovely.
She knitted me a pussy hat. It was really nice of her.
That's amazing.
And it's like, I'll bust it out whenever it's not too hot.
Yeah.
I think in all likelihood I will wear my pussy hat with pride to Dodger Stadium this week. Are you going to, Mona?
No, I'm not. I mean, the only sport I really watch, Johnny, is
not sports. It's not sports.
What?
Don't you don't know this, huh?
Sorry.
Okay. Dodger Stadium. The vaccine. That's where you can get the vaccine. Probably.
The vaccine. Right.
Probably Thursday or Friday. I anticipate. You know that I live near Dodger Stadium, right? So I anticipate that I'll be able to walk out my front door and get in line right there. It's going to be, they're going to be 5 figures worth of people on the first day.
I bet. Is that because you're part of the first and second group of people who are who
could be anybody, I think.
Oh.
I don't have any real I have, minor.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I didn't know that was I mean, I honestly, Johnny, I would rather have yourself and, just like people go and get vaccinated and I'll wait a month, 2 months, for things.
So we can be guinea pigs in case we croak. Yeah,
exactly.
Hey, I'm good with that. At least I finally have done something valuable. By the way, I have to say, in all the years I've known you, the funniest thing I ever heard you say was only a few days ago. I have been laughing over this Mona joke for 3 or 4 days now.
What's the joke?
It's about that Ashley Babbitt woman, the one from San Diego, the one who got shot by the cop in the throat and died during the coup attempt. And it was Mona says, at least she died doing something she loved, acting like an asshole. I'm still laughing over it. I can't help it. I mean, it's like she died doing something. That's what you hear at a funeral. He died doing something he loved.
Exactly.
I mean, admittedly, it's not quite as died doing something you love like Nelson Rockefeller did. Do you know who Nelson Rockefeller was, Mona?
No, I don't.
Nelson Rockefeller was, for 2 years, a vice president of the United States. And Nelson Rockefeller was the governor of the state of New York for 3 terms. He was what we used to call a liberal Republican, Nelson Rockefeller, right? And, I think his grandfather was John D. Rockefeller, the oil magnate.
Rockefeller.
And Rockefeller Plaza, Rockefeller Center. That's his family, right?
Sure.
Well, he died doing something that he loved to do very much,
Oh wow.
actually.
He died getting laid. He died getting
Yeah,
laid.
he died while he was having sex with his mistress.
Good for him.
Yeah, his wife's name was Happy Rockefeller. That was her real name, wasn't a nickname. Happy
I bet she
Rockefeller.
wasn't very happy when she heard
Wasn't
that.
very happy that day. It's like, excuse me, is it a telegram for pissed off Rockefeller?
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
She
Don't bury him. Give him a shot of something in the heart so I can kill him myself.
Wow. You know what? That's interesting you said that. I have an uncle in Pakistan, and this is a true story. His wife had no idea that he had a mistress, and he was stepping out of his mistress's house and got robbed at gunpoint. These two guys, were on a bike, walked up to him and put him on gunpoint, and he refused to give his money up. So they shot him, and the way they shot him, it barely missed his kidney, and he was bleeding, lying there, and they robbed him and they left. So he ends up in the hospital, and he's with his mistress and the two sons that she has, right, from her previous marriage, and they call him Dad, okay? So then his mistress is there with children who call him Dad, and then his actual family shows up with the kids. And so the woman goes, I'm with him. And the first wife goes, no, you don't understand. That's my husband. And she was like, that's interesting because that's also my husband. He secretly had married her, actually.
Oh, so she wasn't his mistress. She was
his second wife.
She was his wife.
Two of his wives. Imagine.
Which, by the way, Mona, I don't know if you know this, but speaking of the Ashley Babbitt woman in San Diego, the one that got shot in the neck, 36 years old, right?
Yeah.
She was in a throuple. She was not in a couple. She was in a throuple. She was
interesting.
Theoretically married to a man and a woman at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And she had some serious issues with some outside. She was crazy. She was nuts.
Yeah, did you go after her ex's girlfriend or something and threaten?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe because she fancied the girlfriend too. I don't know. But yeah, she was in a throuple. Apparently, Ashley was the B in LGBTQ.
Good for her.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, in as much as she seemed completely inhuman and psychotic, otherwise, it's probably the best thing about her. She's imaginative in her personal relationship.
Yeah, but that just goes to show you that you can have as much, pardon my language, dick and pussy as you want. If you're a fucking batshit crazy bitch, you're a batshit crazy bitch. None of that getting laid is gonna save you. You're a batshit crazy.
No, it's true. It's also, people, especially people who moralize a lot, compartmentalize a lot. Like, well, it's wrong when they do it. When I do it, well, there's a reason for it.
Precisely.
I know that you have had, and I'm not going to badmouth her because I don't know anything about her really. The other woman that was represented the 25th district for a year, Katie Hill, you've had her on this.
Yep.
Okay. And she got in trouble because of her personal issues, right?
Yep.
I mean, were I her, I would have said, yeah, I did all this stuff, but you elected me. You didn't elect a saint. It's like, yes, I did this stuff. I like men. I like women. My husband and I had an open relationship, or we were in the lifestyle, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I'm not leaving Congress. Screw you. It's like, why should I be somebody that I'm not?
Well,
but what's interesting about her is that she leaped to the defense of the otherwise unspeakable Matt Gaetz. The congressman from Florida was off the charts Trump, ball washer, right?
Yeah.
So, she said, whatever you do, don't criticize him too much because of Nestor. Nestor is his adopted son.
Yeah.
And we're like, I'm listening. I go, Katie, for Christ's sake, I have no problem whatsoever with same-sex relationships. Who could possibly care about such a thing, right? But Nestor, when he met Representative Gaetz, was 12. Okay. And Representative Gaetz is an unmarried single man raising a 12-year-old adopted son that, according to the state of Florida, he's never adopted. There's no paperwork.
Wow.
He's a Cuban national. How many Cuban nationals get adopted by Americans per year? Oh, I don't know. 1, 2. In other words,
by Matt Gaetz, they're all getting adopted.
By Matt Gaetz. Oh yeah, and he's adopted a woman now too, I think, or he's married.
Has he now?
Yeah, I think what Matt sees is that the Justice Department is changing hands next week, and probably somebody is going to get Merrick Garland's ears and go, "This Gaetz guy was having sex with his 12-year-old kid." Because the statute, Nestor may be 19 or 20 years old, but I mean, there are certain things that the statute of limitations does not have anything to do with, and statutory rape is one of them. Now, let's talk about the events of the day.
Events of the day. Johnny,
let's start at the beginning. Two things that we learned in the last few hours. Are you ready, Mona?
Let's hear it.
Senate Majority Leader, which he will be until the 21st of January. Mitch McConnell will be the Majority Leader in the U.S. Senate until Kamala Harris is sworn in and the Senate is back in session. So that's the 21st of January.
Yeah.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is now said, according to the New York Times, to be on board with and in favor of the impeachment and removal of Donald Trump. The reasoning, so it is speculated, if Mitch has not actually said so, is that Mitch believes that you're getting a distraction and a nuisance out of the Republican Party, and they can plan ahead to the midterms in 2022. If Trump was hanging over their heads for a good 2 years, they get creamed in that election, and they know it. But by that point, a fair amount of people that voted for him would be like, "Oh, I can't listen to this guy anymore," And we also found out about 20 minutes ago that one of the organizers of the coup, a kid by the name of Ali Alexander, has admitted that he had 3 accomplices who are members of the House of Representatives: Andy Biggs, Paul Kosar, and Mo Brooks. Those are 3 Republicans, 2 from Arizona, 1 from Alabama. And Mr. Alexander said, yes, we coordinated this event in concert, in tandem. Now, this would tend to indicate that Brooks, who was already in trouble because he spoke at the event that led up to the coup, or the would-be coup, he's on videotape saying incendiary things in public in Washington, D.C., which is taken very seriously in the district. The 2 Arizonans, less so. But here's the deal, Mona. It would only take 2/3 of the House under Nancy Pelosi's direction to expel them, the 3 of them, from the House. And something like 60 or 70 Republican Congresspeople are amenable to the idea of impeaching Trump. We know that Liz Cheney has said yes.
That's right.
We know Adam Kinzinger has said yes. The libertarian guy with the red beard who replaced Amash in Michigan, he said yes. John Kopko, I think he's from Illinois, has said yes. And there are more of them. I think Liz Cheney's word carries a lot of gravity.
Yep.
You would have some of the newer Republicans that were elected in California, like Valadao, getting his seat back. He'll vote for impeachment. And if you have 50 or 60 of those plus 225 Democrats, you're awfully close to 2/3. And Pelosi can go, Brooks and Gosar and Andy Biggs conspired to create an event that nearly killed all of us, not just me, And plus, now you've got 3 or 4, half a dozen members of the House have COVID now too.
That's right.
Because they're all stacked on top of each other, and the goddamn Republicans wouldn't wear masks.
Yeah, that's right. Democrats got sick. Paul got COVID today. She got diagnosed.
Yeah, she was diagnosed with COVID, and it's the way these things play out generally is they can go one of 2 ways. Either the event goes into the rearview mirror as you're driving away from it, time-wise, right? And people forget about it. However, sometimes when new stuff keeps coming up, especially the idea of a conspiracy between shady characters and those who are in Congress or in the Senate, come out, there's new interest in this, plus the fact that the Justice Department is changing hands, is this could end up being an absolute disaster for Republicans in the House. You could end up seeing a dozen of them expelled for this. And what that would mean is that there would be 12 special elections. Most of those seats are safely Republican. However, I got to tell you, as somebody who lived through Watergate, people in districts who have dealt with politicians that are scumbags will give the opposition one term at least, a fair amount of the time. And that means that this narrow edge that Pelosi has in the House becomes wider.
That's right.
Because of their own stupidity. Another thing is word has it that House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who's from Bakersfield, California, allegedly he is going to suggest to Trump that Trump resign. He's going to go to say, we can't protect you. You're going to be impeached. McConnell will call the Senate back into session. If you resign, you can run again in 2024. But you got to get out of there. If they impeach and convict you, you can never run again. Okay, that's it. And that's what they want. They want to neuter you, whereas Republicans like us, we look at those 74 million voters of yours and we get a great big boner for it,
That's right.
So, they look at that 74 million Trump voters. They look at the $500 million he's raised off the backs of these gullible rubes and stuff. And they did. They caught him. Yeah.
Wow.
Friend texted me. They caught the guy that allegedly killed the Capitol policeman. Yeah, they did. They know who threw the fire extinguisher. Yeah, they got.
Talk about the hypocritical aspect of saying Blue Lives Matter, and then you're the ones who are fucking taking an fire extinguisher and beat him to death. Get the hell out of here. Then you're not about blue lives. You're anti-black. You're just using that as a way to cover your anti-blackness. Just say that.
Or you like the idea when the cops shoot black folks.
Oh, right.
A traffic stop. You just think it's awesome. It's wonderful.
100%.
Puts the fear of God into them. Boy, I wish I had that gun and I could do that too. That's how they think.
That's right. That's right.
But at this point, the American public takes a look at these people who are screaming law and order and we're for, we back the badge and all this stuff. And they go, oh, you people are full of it. You're a bunch of juvenile assholes. Look, what does all this boil down to at its essence, Mona? The fact of the matter is on the 3rd of November, we had an election.
Yep.
3rd of November last year. On the 7th of November last year, Mona, what happened? 4 days later, after the polls closed everywhere, after the polls closed in Hawaii and Alaska, 4 days after that, Mona, what happened? Remember? On Saturday the 7th. Okay, what happened?
But got announced as an elect.
Pennsylvania was called for Biden. That was it. Then he had over 274 votes.
That's right.
That was it. It's all over. Driving through the streets of Silver Lake, all of a sudden you hear everybody honking their horns and cheering and screaming. There are people who are running out of their apartments and dance in the streets. It's a pretty lefty neighborhood here. So It wasn't exactly a surprise. But the thing is,
I was in Brentford at the time, Johnny, and I assure you nobody was celebrating there. But
I bet a lot of them were. You'd be surprised.
They were. I didn't see anybody celebrating besides myself and maybe a couple other people.
Okay. But the fact is Biden wins the election, right? So as we knew that his win was going to be challenged. You and I talked, I think, online the night of the election, and it didn't look great. But I told you, as soon as all the mail-in ballots come in, that's it. Yeah. I mean, Trump has to be ahead by a lot more than he was. I think like Michigan, they were tied. Wisconsin, they were pretty much tied. And I said, they're both going to, 50,000 votes from now, they're both going to cross. Biden won Michigan by 155,000 votes. I mean, what's really funny is I know that you, as I did, were watching the Georgia Senate races very closely, weren't you?
Yes.
Okay. Have you, in the last day or two, checked to see what the final results of those races actually were?
No, I haven't. Please do.
Okay. Everybody and anybody wigging out over Georgia for one reason. Yeah. Georgia law says that if a race is only decided by a 0.5 percentage point, then the loser, if they want, can go to the state and get a recount. We're all petrified Trump is going to figure out a way, because he's tried every other machination in Georgia. Okay. As of today, I think Ossoff beat Purdue by about 55,000 votes. That's a point and change. And Warnock beat Loeffler by almost 100,000 votes. Now, those aren't, by most Senate race standards, those aren't gigantic margins. They're very small.
Yeah.
But they're not insignificant. It's one thing to win a race by 3,500 votes. Then you're barely in by the skin of your teeth. But if you're John Ossoff, you're a 33-year-old left-wing Jew in Georgia, which he is. He's a community organizing Jew. Okay.
Yeah.
And you beat an incumbent. Yes. An incumbent whose brother is in Trump's cabinet, an incumbent whose Sonny Perdue, David Perdue's brother, was the governor of Georgia. That name is synonymous with Georgia politics. Ossoff beat him by over a percentage point in a runoff.
Yeah.
Look, Democrats don't like to come out to vote in runoffs. It's like it's hard enough to get Democrats to vote, period. But in Georgia, all they had to do was when Biden won by 11,000 votes, whatever he won by in Georgia, right? And they had the special elections. Now, both Mo Kelly and I are both like, Loeffler and Purdue are going to win. I mean, Christ, that's a red state. What do you expect? It's going to be a tough time until the midterms, Senate-wise. Then as the votes started coming in from the Republican parts of Georgia, and turnout was way down, and in Atlanta and in Macon and Savannah and Augusta, turnout was up, that's when you realize Ossoff and Warnock are going to win. When they're about 85% of the vote in, they pulled ahead. That was it. They looked, Loeffler conceded, and Purdue conceded a day and a half after that. It's just like, that was it. They knew they'd lost. Yeah. And
it was a decal counting, wasn't it? Decal counting had the highest number of votes.
Decab,
as I said, decab counting.
Yeah, so the L is silent.
The L is silent. Okay, it's a decab counting.
It's like the H at the end of shake. Yes.
You say that. It's more like sheikh.
Sheikh. Hey, no, we have the sound in Hebrew too. It's a Middle Eastern thing. They got a lot of phlegms, so they made a phlegmy 27th letter of the alphabet.
Got to lubricate the throat.
True.
Yeah. Sorry.
Or the goat.
Oh, the goat. Johnny, did you watch the FBI and Department of Justice press conference today? And how?
No, I heard about it. Oh no, I didn't see it.
They went in. I watched it twice. I had to go back and watch it again. I was like, these guys are not fucking around. They're this is a felony. They're like, we're looking at anything from literally walking in into the Capitol building all the way up to coming up with pipe bombs. They're like,
they said, we will prosecute all of you.
Yep.
All of you are going to prison.
That's
all of you. We're done. We're done screwing around. It's like we have taken shit from Donald Trump for 4 years. Us and everybody else who works here. He's shat all over us. Okay, but those days, not only do those days end in less than a week, in terms of, we'll actually have like a cooperative Justice Department and a cooperative president and vice president and attorney general, but Biden is not going to spend his time teeing off on the FBI and firing the director as far as he's concerned. Christopher Wray knows how to do his job. I mean, we're in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. There's only so much I want to do other than get rid of it.
Precisely. Precisely.
And I think that Mitch McConnell going along with the idea of this guy is more trouble than he's worth. He's dangerous. We're starting... I think the Republicans and Trump have dropped 11, 12 points in approval in less than a week. It's like he might be thinking, if this continues, plus vaccine rolls out, pandemic starts to ease and ease and ease, and there's no third wave because half of America is vaccinated by Labor Day, then it's like McConnell can read the writing on the wall. So how are we going to beat them in a midterm? We're not going to beat them in a midterm. Democrats go, yeah, the pandemic, you got rid of it. How'd that happen? Okay, so McConnell figures, all right, look, we're not going to be in the majority for at least 2 years. In fact, he has to worry about Toomey from Pennsylvania and Burr from North Carolina leaving early. Okay, because they leave, they're replaced by Democrats. He's got to worry about Lisa Murkowski, who has already said, if the Republican Party is the party of Donald Trump, she goes, I don't belong in this thing. And she said that verbatim. Right. So it's that's what you end up with. Is a situation, if you're Mitch McConnell, you go, look, we got our 3 right-wing nutty judges on the Supreme Court. I got tax cuts for the rich. They won't be able to get rid of those for a while. Okay. We're good. Plus Biden isn't keen on any kind of a tax increase for anybody just yet, no matter what he says. Okay. But it'll happen.
Not for people above making over $400,000. You don't think he means that?
Not right away. There's no need
for it. I mean, right away, they have a pandemic to deal with. That's what they're going to deal with.
Okay. What Biden wants. Okay. He wants a few things. One, he wants to go to McConnell and say, look, I know that you want my presidency to die on the shoals of failure. I know that. You did that to my boss. You tried to wreck him. But by the way, he ended up serving 2 terms. So it didn't work. Okay. It's less likely with me. I'm an old, harmless white man. Okay. I beat Donald Trump by 4.5 percentage points. He's an incumbent. Mitch, even at 82, if I decide to run again and there's no pandemic and there's decent economic growth, I don't care who you run against me. I'm going to beat him by 15 points, and you know it. Okay. Yep. So how about we cooperate? This is what I want. Okay. What I want is this. I want a $3 trillion infrastructure repair bill. We'll pay it back eventually. I know how concerned you are with deficits and debt. Okay. But we'll pay it back. The country, our infrastructure in the United States is abysmal. It's falling apart everywhere. We are going to have to make this investment eventually. By the way, speaking of infrastructure, Mona, did you hear of the events of Michigan today, perhaps?
No, what's the events of Michigan?
Oh, their former governor and I believe director of the Department of Public Health are going to be indicted.
Yes, for Flint, Michigan. Yes, for
Flint. For Flint. Yeah. And they're going to be sued out of existence, and the state knows this.
Which rightfully so for fucking
rightfully so for giving Legionnaire's disease to thousands of people. Okay, but at this point, Mr. Snyder is likely to go to federal prison, as are some of his cohorts. And look, Joe Biden can go to McConnell, go, look, I know Flint, Michigan's a city filled with black people. Mitch, I know you hate black folks. I get that. Okay. But the fact is it's in Michigan, which is in America. It needs to be rebuilt. Okay. We need to rebuild Western Pennsylvania. It's a mess. We need to do something about West Virginia. There's nothing in it. Okay. We have to do something about 2 things in America. One, the fact that American cities are unaffordable for most people. Secondly, rural America has emptied out to the point where there is nothing for the people that remain there to do. It's like you're going back 40 or 50 years simply by going 50, 60 miles away from the city. If I'm Biden is like, look, Mitch, these are your voters. They're never going to vote for me. It doesn't matter what I do for them. I know they're not going to vote for me. Okay. You guys have brainwashed the hell out of them. Congratulations. But the thing is these are the same people who can save up their money for semi-automatic weapons, and they can come kill you too.
That's right.
So, we saw that. You really think they're only going to kill Democrats? Who were they chanting to hang? The name, Mitch. What was the name of the man they're chanting? Hang Mike Pence. They wanted to kill Mike Pence because Donald Trump told them so. Now you got to figure that Mitch's thinking, Kevin McCarthy's thinking is he's got a week to go,
Mm-hmm.
Let's stick it to him on the day before his term is up.
The 19th.
Let's convict him on the 19th, or convict him day after tomorrow or Friday. Have the Mitch go, you know what? I've decided we can bring the Senate back for a vote. Yeah. Let's vote up and down on this. The articles of impeachment are very small. They're only, 4 or 5 paragraphs, really.
Yeah.
And they may or may not include the shenanigans in Georgia with him trying to manipulate the election there. But mostly it's going to be because of the coup. Okay. Yeah. You got all 50 Democrats, because I think Ossoff and Warnock will be sworn in by then. Okay. Yeah. You got all 50 Democrats. Romney, yes. On impeachment, McConnell, yes. On impeachment, Murkowski, yes. Collins will be yes. Sasse will be yes. Pat Toomey will be yes. Okay, now you got 9 left or so. It's not that hard to find 9 of these people who go, life will be a lot easier without this guy. You know, but what they're worried about also, they're worried about the possibility, okay, the Senate Majority Leader Schumer next week brings Hawley and Cruz onto the floor of the Senate and says, okay, now I want you to explain exactly what it is you were thinking.
That's right.
After we were in hiding for hours and hours, that you decided to keep this farcical charade alive about election fraud when, guys, you guys clerked for Supreme Court justices. You know that you got to prove something. That's you right. Didn't prove anything. Okay, this is just innuendo, nonsense, doctored videos, silliness from a senile, drunk old Italian mayor of New York City. Okay, so guys, what were you thinking? See, fellas, this is what I'm thinking. I got 50 votes at least to kick you out of here. All I got to do is find 17 more, and it's probably not going to be as hard as you think. And you know why that is because, Ted, they hate you. Okay. They hate your guts. They think you're a grandstanding piece of crap. And Josh, with your fist bump for the coup, you're right behind them. They hate you. They hate you too.
That's right.
And a lot of these guys and women believe that they could run for president in 2024. If they knock off 2 of their rivals preemptively in 2021, that's good. Because here's the thing, Ted. Here's the thing, Josh. You're going to go and you're going to try to raise $200 million to run for president. You're going to sit there in front of these people and go, didn't you get kicked out of the Senate 3 years ago? Like, how you have power doing what exactly? Marco Rubio, remember old Marco ran for president 2016. He got his ass kicked by Trump, and he was going to retire from the U.S. Senate. He said, "That's it." He said, "I don't even like this job. I don't like it at all." And he changed his mind. Why is that? Because he couldn't make any money doing anything else because he's an idiot, and he doesn't have any skills at anything. And once he's out of the Senate, he's got no juice. He's got no muscle. He's an ex-U.S. senator. What's the best he can do? Become a lobbyist? People go like, "Oh, you're the guy who said you hated the job, and I'm supposed to listen to you." It's like, Marco, you lasted 1 term in the U.S. Senate.
But Johnny,
you're a former goddamn male hustler, dude. It's like, please.
But you know what it is, though, Johnny? But you know what it is? So 2 points, right? Going back to Mitch McConnell, like Mitch McConnell coming out now and saying, "Yep, I'm very, first of all, you never see Mitch McConnell being emotional in public ever. So for him to get emotional and be visibly upset about the whole coup that, the coup d'etat that fucking went down last week, I mean,
which he could have been killed in.
Which he could have been killed in. But I have to make this point about Mitch McConnell that he can come out and be as upset and now come out and praise the Democrats to go ahead with the impeachment. But he has been the fucking enabler of this president this entire time. And now that it serves him and he knows that he's sinking ship, he's jumping off the ship and saying, "Oops, I got nothing to do with this. Washing my hand. You go ahead and do," and throwing him off to the vultures. It's
but here's where it gets interesting. Yes, that's all of that is true.
Yeah.
Every word of that is true. Everything you just said is God's honest truth. Here's the problem, though. If I am a Republican politician and I see that Donald Trump got 7 or 8 million votes more than any other Republican in history, That's a significant number. Okay.
Sure.
And I think I want those votes, and I want that money that he's able to wring out of the idiots that support him, right? I want that money, and I want them votes, right? Mm-hmm. They may think, I'll still side with Trump. What the hell is the old Mitch McConnell going to do for me anyway? Nothing. What can he do? He's the Senate minority leader now. Schumer is going to go for as many up and down votes as he can. And by the way, what is now being bandied about as a distinct possibility in 2021 is Washington, D.C. statehood. There is a lot of sympathy for the District of Columbia in the rest of America right now, for one. Secondly, the Democrats will have a majority in the Senate. And it is entirely possible that Senator Schumer, and let's say Murkowski does jump ship. It's 51-49, right? Yeah. Senator Schumer says, here's the deal. You have two choices. One, we will vote to get rid of the filibuster, which means everything is a straight yes or no. Mm-hmm. Okay. You can't, none of this, I have to get to 60 votes to get to cloture stuff. It's like it's a straight up and down vote from here on in. Or you're going to say it's a straight up and down vote on two things. One, DC statehood. Two, infrastructure bill. Okay. After that, we can filibuster on anything, but I want that $3 trillion. I want to start rebuilding the country. Washington, D.C., there are 600, 700,000 people that have no representation. Look, bad enough that Puerto Rico got no representation. The District of Columbia is the capital of the United States. Yeah. Okay. For one thing, in Puerto Rico, there's a fairly strong separatist movement that wants it to become its own country. Okay. That's right. That has to be acknowledged. Nobody in Washington, D.C. wants it to be an independent republic. So it's not the same thing. And also, it's not like the Democrats can go for broke and go, we want D.C. statehood, we want Puerto Rican statehood, and we want general islands statehood, where the Virgin Islands, Guam, American Samoa, they get two senators and a congressman, but DC statehood, I don't believe a Democrat has gotten less than 92% of the vote in the last 40 years. Wow. Okay, in Washington, D.C. So Republicans are like, the only reason you want that is to have a permanent majority in the Senate. And the answer to that is gerrymandering. Who loves gerrymandering? You do. Okay, so now the shoe's on the other foot. You don't like it very much. It's always going to be 102 U.S. senators. We're always going to have at least 52. Okay, now what the hell? I'd say, dude, state of Wyoming, 434,000 people. They got two senators. D.C.'s got 700,000 people. They got no senators. Okay, here's an idea. Any U.S. state that has fewer people in it than Washington, D.C., they lose their senators. Okay. So that means Wyoming loses their senators and Alaska loses their senators. That's four Republicans. Bye.
Yeah. You mean you're talking about what? Like getting rid of the Electoral College? Is that what you're referring to?
No, I'm saying, look, if you don't believe that the people of Washington, D.C. are entitled to representation in the United States Senate, then the people of Wyoming don't deserve it either. Then the people of Alaska don't deserve it either. I believe North Dakota has fewer people in it, than.
How many people are in Rhode Island? What is Rhode Island? Rhode Island's blue?
Yeah, Rhode Island is deep blue. Also, Rhode Island, there are 1.5 million people in Rhode Island. Rhode Island actually has a major city in it. So yes.
I mean, does Rhode Island have more people than North Dakota or South Dakota?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Providence is a good sign. Providence, a quarter.
Providence is a pretty big town. I thought that North Dakota and South Dakota would have a lot more people than Rhode Island.
No, Rhode Island is what? It's in between New York City and Boston. It's got one major city, and it's got Pawtucket, Newport, Rhode Island, Woonsocket are all good-sized little town cities. So a lot of people live there, and also at this point, given that Boston has become unaffordable, the suburbs of Providence and the suburbs of Boston are the same place. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, it's all of the insanity, the lengths that these people have gone to disenfranchise the people of Washington, D.C., the people of Puerto Rico, the people of the Virgin Islands and Samoa. It's like, come on. They're American citizens. They need to be represented. And we should also start thinking about, should there be 2 U.S. senators who represent Americans abroad? I mean, in the last election, over 2 million people who don't live in the United States voted in American elections because they're American citizens. They live in Europe, they live in Japan, they live in Australia, they live in Pakistan,
Sure.
you know? So why not, you know, I mean, theoretically, if I'm, you know, my family is in Atlanta, Georgia, but I work for Microsoft in Islamabad, right? Sure. Georgia's 2 senators don't really represent my interests. I can vote in Georgia, but, you know, they don't care that much. Why should they? Okay. On the other hand, if there are 2 senators at large for Americans overseas, also, but the thing is that's 2 automatic Democratic Party votes. And Republicans know this. They're not, you know, they may be assholes, but they're not stupid generally.
Right.
They're very good at math when it suits them.
Oh, of course they are, Johnny. You know, Johnny, I wanted to actually ask you about, you know, I think I've expressed this multiple times that, you know, that you've been on here, and I think in my other, you know, live streams, is my absolute despise and hate for Mitch McConnell. I mean, I absolutely despise the man.
Oh, he's horrible.
He's horrible. And I think he's totally soulless. He doesn't fucking care about anything or anyone.
No. Not the least.
And I wanted to actually ask you this, that, you know, Trump, to the point that it has gotten to the point that it did last week, where, you know, you have a coup and you have a fucking, you know, gallows being built outside Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm looking at that and I'm saying to myself, well, you know, all along, there was this one common thread in all of it that has given Trump the encouragement and the confidence to go up there and encourage his supporters to tell them to head over to Capitol Hill and to cause a ruckus and to cause a fight. And the one person that has been through and through in support of Trump has been Mitch McConnell, right? So does Mitch McConnell, is he not legally bound or by anything to be punished? Or to any kind of
no. Look, Moan, I'm not an attorney, but I do know that whatever his relationship with Trump doesn't rise to the threshold of being a co-conspirator. It just doesn't. An enabler, you can be an enabler. But like I said earlier in this podcast, more is about to be revealed in a major way. We now know that the sergeant at arms in the U.S. Senate has conveniently disappeared. He doesn't. His apartment at the Watergate complex is vacant. His apartment in the state of Nevada, he keeps an apartment there. Nobody answers.
Who is this? Sorry, who is this, Johnny?
The sergeant of arms in the building that was taken over.
Interesting.
The chief of police, the chief of Capitol Police, was calling down there. Should we head over? Couldn't get anybody on the phone.
Amazing.
You know, this was look. This was I said this on Facebook. I'll say it again. Okay, one of the most famous scenes in movie history. Every American of a certain age has seen the movie The Godfather. Correct? You've seen. Okay.
100%.
The best scene in the film, the one that sticks with anybody, you know, who loves cinematic tension, is of course the scene in which the Godfather's son is late to visit his father at the hospital. So he comes in late and sees that there are no bodyguards at the door. You remember the scene, right?
Yes, I do.
You can say, "No, I don't know what you're talking about."
No, I remember the scene.
Okay, so he goes up there to his father's room and he realizes, oh my God, there's hitmen are coming to kill him. Okay, there's no bodyguards here, there are no detectives here. Something's up. He knew it. He called his brother and he said, "There's nobody here." And his brother goes, "Don't panic." And he goes, "I won't. I'm not going to panic." And he tells the nurse, let's move him to another room. So that buys him a few minutes.
Mhm.
Then he sees the guy with the flowers, the baker. He says,
Mhm.
"Get rid of those." And they go out front, and he goes, "Pretend you got a gun." The hitmen pull up. They see what they presume are two bodyguards on the steps, and they drive away. They've saved his life. That's the situation that you had in the Capitol last week, where a certain confluence of events left the Capitol defenseless. In
Mhm.
other words, as was the case in the movie The Godfather, which is fictional, the police captain, the one who socks Al Pacino in the head, he pulled all of those people off, and he had all of the Corleone family enforcers arrested, even though they were legally entitled to be there. He arrested them. Then, of course, their replacements came in, and Robert Duvall's character says, these people are all licensed to carry firearms. If you pull them off for whatever reason, you're going to appear before a judge in the morning, explain why. And if Don Corleone's shot to death at night, that's it for you, man. I mean, you've been a police captain in New York, you're dead. You're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. In fact, back then, they put you in the electric chair for that. So, you knew it. And we lose. Okay, we lost. But, Mona, it was the same situation. They left the building defenseless. Who are the people that were defending them? They opened the damn gates for those people. They took selfies with them. They escorted them in. There were people who knew exactly where these offices were.
That's right.
They knew where to find these people. In fact, if it wasn't for that one security guard or Capitol cop, Eugene Goodman.
Oh, he's great.
With the baton.
Great.
If it had been for him, they would have turned in the other direction.
That's right. They were headed to the south.
But my point is this. Some person in a position of authority, as was the case in the movie, pulled away all the protection, wouldn't answer when it was time to get the National Guard to come in and protect. Sometime in the next few months, it may come out that Donald Trump himself was in on the conspiracy directly. Somebody, to protect themselves, will say, we were either under the impression or we spoke to Trump. And he said, leave the place unguarded. Oof. And I will send over, I'm going to be giving this speech. I will direct these people over. No National Guard, no Capitol Police, no DC Metro presence. Okay. Here's a question for you. What happened in between the election and the coup attempt last week? He got rid of everybody that was going to stand in his way of pulling off something like this. The Secretary of Defense, Esper, he elbows him out and he puts in one of his stooges. Okay. The same thing with security details. All of a sudden, all these people have been working there, get fired. They're gone. They're replaced by people nobody knows who they are or who they heard of. There's one thing that you, Mona, would know better than any American, being from Pakistan, right? Which is, in the event that somebody is determined to coup the government out, there's one thing they absolutely have to do, Mona. And what is that?
I don't know, Johnny, tell me.
They have to succeed. If a failed coup attempt is the worst possible thing that can happen to you, okay? Right. Because it means that the powers that be survived, the powers that be are angry, and the powers that be are going to get even with you.
That's right.
In fact, they're going to do more than get even with you, as the FBI pointed out today. The FBI has been humiliated. Okay, yep. Law enforcement in Washington, the ones that weren't on the side of Donald Trump, are mortified.
That's right.
What happened? They look like a bunch of idiots, and the rest of the world, everybody's laughing at them. It's like either you guys were in on it or you're idiots. Neither of those things are particularly good. For your sake, better an idiot, because if you're in on it, you're going to go to federal prison for the next 25 years. Okay.
What I want to actually also mention is that
Mona, last thing before you say anything. As you know, as Machiavelli said, if you're going to kill the king with that shot, you better kill him. Because if he lives and he survives, you and your plotters, was the idiot in 1944 wanted to kill Hitler, blow him up with the bomb? What happened with them? By the turn of the year 1945, all of them were dead. All dead by firing squad.
Get rid of your enemies. Yes, of course. Johnny,
That's what happens. If you fail, you're screwed. And that's where we are right now. The people who are left in the government are like, we're going to prosecute these people. All of them are going to prison, and one of them is going to talk.
Yes.
And the one that talks, the one who says Ali Alexander did that already today. He implicated 3 Republican congressmen as being in on it. Those 3 are next week. They are looking at federal charges for sedition. So one of them is going to turn on the others, and one of them is going to say Trump was in on it. And yes, I will testify to that, and then that's it.
Johnny, I feel like what happened last week on Capitol Hill really kind of also, in my eyes, like also clarified this point about how people of color, especially Black people, for years and years in this country, have been talking about how the police brutality and how police treats them differently than their white counterparts. And I feel like what happened last week with the DC police not being present and how they just disappeared, the police actually opening up the barricades. There's actual videos. I posted those videos of opening up the barricades, leading people in, showing them the way to, hey, come on into the,
Right.
It makes you want to say, okay, people of color have been screaming on top of their lungs about this shit forever, okay? And now this has become so abundantly clear and abundantly clear that this is exactly what the fuck happens when there is 2 kinds of laws. There's a cop will treat a white person way better than they would treat me. There's no fucking denying.
Well, depends who the white person is, but yes, generally you're right.
But even if generally, yes, but I feel like aren't there going to be like, captains and sergeants and, these folks being questioned and investigated, like, where the fuck were you?
Oh yeah. Well, remember, a lot of them were trying to get over there and trying to get involved, and they couldn't find their commanders, and they didn't know where they were supposed to go. It took them, what was it? The governor of Maryland said it took like 6 calls or whatever it was to finally get through. Finally, the Secretary of the Army, who isn't even in the National Guard chain, said, "You want the National Guard? Yes, take them. Okay, you've got my authorization. What about the Secretary of Defense? Screw him. You need the National Guard." Trump did something that this says more about the brainless, pitiful, pathetic, repulsive, loathsome jerk-offs that support this asshole, right? Donald Trump, in his speech before the coup attempt started, said, "We will march down Pennsylvania Avenue. I'll be right behind you as we go do what we're going to do." Okay, and these freaking idiots believed it. So, was Donald Trump with them marching down Pennsylvania Avenue? No. What did he do? He turned around. He went back to the White House to watch it on television, and he was stoked. Finally, somebody got through to him and said, "Look, it didn't happen. They're all alive, and they're protected. You'd better send in the National Guard like now. Yeah. You better get out in front of this and say there will be no violence." And he made like this ridiculous show of it, but he didn't believe it. He spoke off a teleprompter. People were like, Jesus, he doesn't believe a word of this. But what this says, Mona, is it says that the people who support this con man, this phony, are the stupidest, sickest, lamest, most pitiful segment of American society, no matter how highly they value themselves, no matter how much money they have, no matter how pious they may be in terms of the Christian religion, because almost all of them, to a man and women, are so-called Christians, right? It's like, you people really believed that this 75-year-old bone spurs in his feet chicken was going to march with you into combat? Of course he wasn't. You've been had again. Right. You've been had on a weekly basis for 4 years.
Yep.
Where's the wall that Mexico was going to pay for? Where's the replacement for Obamacare? Where's infrastructure week? Why is there more debt when you said you're going to get rid of it? Why are there deficits at an all-time high? Oh, and you said when 15 people in the United States of America had coronavirus, that like a miracle, it'll just go away. And then when it didn't, you said hydrochloroquine, that will get rid of it. Then it was proven that that had no value. Then you said, well, then maybe you should inject bleach or stick a UV ray up your ass. And you bought that too. Okay. So what I would say to any of these people is nobody in their right mind would ever listen to anything you have to say.
Yep.
Nobody anywhere cares what you think, because you're a sick, vile, repulsive little bootlicking cultist worm follower, beta cuck nobody. And you were so excited that you had a crude, racist piece of garbage in the White House, because Donald Trump, he's just like you. He's stupid and loud, and he's always sure of himself, except he's wrong 99% of the time, just like you are. And I think of that pitiful woman from San Diego, shot through the damn neck. Ashley Babbitt, who had
Miss Thruple.
Yeah, in the truple, or whatever the hell you call it, the truple, the threesome that she was in, know.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. All of your men friends will tell you this, if they're being honest. Okay, in a man's mind, the one man, two woman thing it's very arousing. It's very appealing.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can tell you, as somebody who's been involved in a bunch of them, they're better in fantasy than they are in real life. This is a long, long, long time ago when I was a young rock musician who drank a lot of alcohol. Okay, I did.
Okay. I think anytime I've spoken to any of my straight, as male friends, they've told me, they're like, in fantasy it sounded amazing, but when I actually did it, it wasn't that great.
No, it's klutzy. It's klutzy and clumsy and uncomfortable, and it's just weird, know. Yeah. But the thing is when my brain started going to the possibility of Ashley Babbitt having sex with anybody, I was like, oh, she's so repulsive.
Have you seen the video, though, Johnny? Have you seen the video of the exact time when they shot her, right in the when they shot her? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen the shoot, the shot, the kill shot, right?
Yeah.
What was she doing when she got shot? She's trying to climb through a broken window right in the face of a Secret Serviceman with a gun pointed at her, and he was saying, "Get down or I will shoot you."
Yeah.
Get down. And she had a backpack on, so as far as they knew, she was a suicide bomber.
That's right.
State House takeover, what, in California? There's no chance of that.
Question, Johnny, concerned about the State House takeover scheduled for this weekend?
No. They did a dry run for that in Texas and Michigan and Florida today, and the Texas Rangers cleared them out almost immediately. They're not screwing around down there.
I mean,
they can try. They can try. Look, James, they can try. I got to tell you something, though. A fair amount of law enforcement at this point has had just about enough.
I agree with you.
And they're tired of these people. They think that we're their allies because, some of us are, but an awful lot of them aren't. And eventually a peace officer, one of these idiots, is going to take a shot at a cop.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, like in on Inauguration Day, James, those idiots march, and there are 12,000 National Guardsmen in Washington, and one of them takes a shot at Biden or at Kamala Harris, or takes a shot at a guardsman or at Chief Justice Roberts or whomever. They try to take a shot at him. The guard is going to turn around, get into position. They'll mow them all down. Because there's a certain point where you go, enough. Okay, you made your point. You lost your goddamned election. You believed every right-wing jerk off on the radio or the internet or YouTube who told you that it was rigged and fake. Of course, they couldn't. There was no evidence that there was, but you wanted to believe it. Then you go and you arm yourself and you march into the Capitol, or you march into Sacramento or Austin or Albany or whatever state capital it is. You parade around with your goddamned AR-15s. And eventually, a National Guardsman who sees one of these things lowered and aimed at them gets down and shoots you. And that's it, and assuming you live through it, now you got to go back and you got to tell your family why it is you're disabled for the rest of your life because you decided to play soldier.
Well, you're going to be,
on behalf of Donald Trump.
Right. But you're present talking through the fucking phone, telling your family how the fuck you've been disabled. Johnny, this whole thing about state capitol and in the line of the question, what James just asked you, about these, about the state takeover, state house takeover. I fear, this is my fear, and tell me how you feel about it. My fear is because now that Twitter has banned Trump and most of social media has banned Trump, and he doesn't really, even Parler got taken off of, Amazon and all these major sites. So
did you hear what happened with Parler?
Yeah, Parler.
Explain to people what Parler is. Parler is the right-wing Twitter. Twitter was not right-wing enough for all these people. The Mercer family bankrolled the right-wing Twitter, and they called it Parler. It was supposed to be parlay, to speak in French, but all the right-wing nitwits, Parler, it's spelled Parler, it's Parler, right? Not parlay. There's...
No, Johnny.
Anyway. Okay. So
they also call the Electoral College the Electric Collage. Just I want to put that out there.
The Electric Collage.
They call it Electric Collage.
The Electric Collage. That sounds like a psychedelic man from 1967. Hey man, where are you going this weekend? Oh, I'm going down to the pit to see the Electric Collage, man. They do this song, UV ray up my ass. It's unreal, man. Peace. Anyway.
Idiots.
Okay. So apparently at Parler, their security people quit. They walk. Okay. With Twillo. Okay. Who Twillo does on Twitter? They're the ones who administer all your passwords and stuff, right? And they were on Parler as well. They screw this. They walked. Okay. The thing is that Parler didn't have an off switch. So what happened is anybody who wanted to walk in and get any of that information on everybody who's a member of Parler did so. Yeah. So every member of Parler and all of the insane things that they've said are now public domain, and a lot of these people on Parler were boasting of their marching in DC and organizing in Lansing, Michigan and other places like that. It's like, I can't remember who said this, but it was a DA somewhere who said, these cases are heaven for a prosecutor. You have no idea. We have to fastidiously, assiduously, carefully construct cases to put people in jail. The people we're dealing with now, they took selfies of themselves breaking the law. They posted them on Instagram. It's like, it's like, I am absolutely not a flasher. It's like, you sent me a dick pic 10 minutes ago. What are you talking? There it is. That's you.
Electric collage people, Johnny. That's what electric people do.
Oh, yeah, man. I love electric collage, man. I saw the Electric Collage at the Fillmore West in between the airplane and the dead man.
Johnny, they wrote Stop the Steal, STEEL. I was like, that.
Oh, that's right. Stop the steal. Stop the steal. It's like you want to ask them, Steele, you believe that Biden stole the election. That's what you believe, right? So tell me, Biden steals the election, yet they didn't steal the Senate and they lost votes in the House, which would mean that Biden's presidency is naturally wounded from the get-go. Okay, if I'm capable of frauding in presidential races, certainly I am capable of frauding in Senate races. We could have frauded in North Carolina. That race was relatively close. We could have frauded in Iowa. That one was relatively close. We could have frauded in a bunch of goddamn states.
Yeah, Johnny, but
and then we'd have the Senate.
You know what their counter argument is, right? You know what their counter argument? It's the Dominion machines. I heard this crazy lady go off, and she was like, "It's the Dominion machines. They did something to the Dominion machines. They moved parts where it automatically, even if you don't check off the president, it automatically just checks off President, Biden, and that's why Dominion." And it's just like, so Dominion came out and fucking sued them. Did you hear about this?
Not only is Dominion suing, who is Dominion suing is the question. Well, they're going to sue Fox News. Dominion is going to sue Newsmax. Dominion is going to sue OANN, the One America News Network. The tripartite of right-wing news is being sued by Dominion. We're a company that makes voting software, right?
Yep.
And they're going to say, and by the way, Mona, do you remember what the dollar amount of this lawsuit is?
Is it like something in a billion? I think it's like
$1.3 billion.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. You have destroyed our good name.
Yeah.
You slandered us. You claimed that we did this stuff with no proof, and you used the name of the company, and you were explicit in what you said. Look, as you well know, in slander and libel laws in the United States, if you're a famous person, you get a lot of slack on libel and slander. If I was a very famous musician, say, and a fan, that's right. Gino is correct. Sidney Powell's getting sued. Lynn Wood is going to get sued too. Okay. If let's say I wasn't Johnny Angel, I'm John Bon Jovi, right? And they make all kinds of claims about me because I am a public figure. The threshold of damages has to be an awful lot higher. On the other hand, I'm just Johnny Angel, just little old me, and you say all kinds of things about me that aren't true, and you broadcast them on the internet or wherever on the radio, and I sue you. And I prove that you did it maliciously because that's, the evidence is in your emails and texts and posts. So I got you. Dominion, all Dominion has to prove, Mona, is we lost jobs in this market, this state, that state, this municipality, that municipality. That's all they got to do. They got to say, in between November 3rd and January 3rd, say, we lost 8 clients who told us that they had heard this on OANN, Newsmax, Fox News. Okay. And you reproduce the broadcasts and you show a termination of a contract. Boom. Okay. Those are hard damages. I'm not even an attorney. I know that much, right? But you don't even have to do that. If you're Dominion, you go, OANN said this on this day and broadcast it, and they show it. Then Newsmax, then Fox. You made these accusations.
That's right.
At no point did you come to us and ask us what had happened. You never, for verification for purposes of journalism, you never asked us. Okay. You accused us of doing something we didn't do. Or worse, you accused us of something for which there is no evidence that we did this. And you singled us out by name. It's one thing to say the voting machines are rigged. It's another thing to say the Dominion company's voting machines are rigged, because now you have named somebody. Okay. All right. Now, okay. Dominion's answer is, we don't see any criminal complaints. We don't see any civil complaints. We saw you on television bad-mouthing us.
Right.
Okay. And maybe nobody's canceled, but future business, we don't know as we're going to get any because you have destroyed our reputation. You see, so that's what's so funny about this, Mona, is that these idiots, OANN and Newsmax, they don't have a lot of money. Okay. If they're dragged into court and they have to produce 150 to settle. Let's say Dominion wants them to settle for $300-400 million a piece.
That's a lot.
Their billionaire backers will go, forget it.
That's right.
I'm not writing you a check for that.
Right.
It's like, what are you kidding? I may be rich. I'm not that rich. I'm not going to give up like a fifth of my net worth to bail you out. Goodbye.
Jeff Bezos, I'm not fucking bailing your ass out. Like
Jeff Bezos wouldn't do it either. He'd laugh at him and he'd go like, I bankrolled your project. I didn't tell you to do this. Right. It's like, this is not my problem. You know what? I'll take my loss. I invested $75 million and y'all eat the $75 million, but I'm not coming up with $300 million in damages because you idiots weren't smart enough to do this. Can diminutive seek punitive as well? Sure. You know, Gino, in business, your reputation, as Gino probably knows this, but I'll say it anyway. Gino, as you know, in business, your reputation on a balance sheet is what's called an intangible asset, right?
Yeah.
The building we do business in, if we own it, that's a tangible asset. The business is real estate. It's worth a certain amount of money. Cash on hand is a tangible asset, right? If I make posters, a tangible asset is a printing press, is ink, it's paint. Those are tangible assets. On the other hand, the Johnny Angel Print Company never misses a job, never screws anything up. And when they do, they fix it right away. Their reputation is impeccable. It's immaculate in the community. That's an intangible asset. Tangible means you can touch it. It's there. It's an intangible asset. In other words, it's worth something, but we can't specify exactly what its dollar amount is, but it's definitely an asset. My reputation, my good name is an intangible asset. So Dominion System says there's never been an election that's been questioned because of us up until this one, and only on news media outlets that are favorable to the guy that lost. Okay. This was pure sour grapes that has nothing to do with our ability to do the job that we were hired to do. Okay. Right. We were contracted to do something. We did it. We did it fair and square. The hand tabulations go right along with the electronic tabulations. Signatures match. Voter fraud. There's 3 whole cases of voter fraud in the state of Pennsylvania. What were there? 5.5 million people voted. It's like, folks, the people who Dominion are suing, they're screwed. They're screwed because, for one thing, they're not going to get any help from there's no William Barr who's going to help them. That's right. Merrick Garland is going to go, I'm going to help you. Why would I do that? This is, Merrick Garland would say, none of my business. The government has no stance in this at all. We don't care. You got yourself into trouble. And as far as the people who are suing you are concerned, it's like, go get them. That's the beauty of the U.S. legal system. Newsmax has attorneys. Rupert Murdoch has attorneys. Chris Ruddy has attorneys. Well, so does Dominion. And Dominion's attorneys have something that Murdoch's attorneys don't have, which is they have the law on their side. You made an accusation for which there was no basis. You made it publicly, and you named the party that has to defend themselves against charges that came out of nowhere. What's going to happen with Dominion? Dominion's going to say, so where's the evidence that any of this actually happened? Why did you say this? Why did you say this?
That's right.
On the basis of what did you attempt to destroy our reputation as an ongoing business concern? How? Based in what? What did we do exactly? We accurately tabulated votes that gave you a result you didn't like. Okay. So now it isn't that your candidate's an asshole. It's that we rigged the election for his opponent. Well, here's the deal. See, you're the aggrieved party. You're accusing us of that. You've got to prove it. Okay.
Right.
There's no proof of that. We, on the other hand, can prove that you said everything you said on Newsmax because here it is. So it's like they're like, oh, yeah, maybe we, you're welcome, Gino. Maybe we better settle. It's like, if I'm Dominion Systems, I'm like, settle? No. Settle? Oh, you want to settle now? Oh, okay. Well, this is what we want. We want you to go out of business. See? So what we're going to do is we're going to take everything of yours that isn't nailed down, that you can't hide in the Cayman Islands, and it's ours. Oh, and if we beat Fox owns major property in the United States. Rupert Murdoch has tangible assets all over. You pierce the veil between the corporate and Rupert and his kids' personal, and boom, it's a gravy train. Or you just simply go, yeah, Rup, we know you got lots of money. We want $600 million, and we'll drop the lawsuit. We want half. You give us half, we're good. It'd be like, we don't have it.
I mean, Newsmax.
Yeah, then we go. Well, then we're gonna have to go to court. Yeah, and what's Dominion's ace in the hole in something like this? They go, well, as long as we're going to court, every day that you're on the air, you might do this to us again. So what we're going to do is we're going to seek an injunction, a temporary restraining order that you can't broadcast, because one of your people may say or do this in an ongoing lawsuit. Now, that I doubt that would work. Okay, I'm not an attorney. I shouldn't even play one on the internet. But the thing is that you can't say somebody did something that they didn't do.
That's right.
Okay? Especially if they can prove they never did it. But like I said to you earlier, Dominion, they've got to prove that Dominion rigged the election. The burden of proof, the onus of proof is on the accuser. Okay, Newsmax said they did this. OAN said they did. The Fox said they did this. Prove it.
That's it.
Prove it, or prove that it's even within the realm of possibility, because it's not.
Yep.
Okay, it isn't. You don't have any evidence for which you speak, and you have defamed our corporation.
That's right. Johnny, question. And we're gonna wrap up soon. Question.
Yes.
I don't believe that Trump will quit, because he's too egotistical, too narcissistic, too prideful to step down. Yeah. So
or to commit suicide. Yeah.
Or to commit. I mean, it's, because his base would be like, "Fuck you, you fucking left." Like, "Fuck you." I think he knows that he'll probably lose his base if he quits. So he's gonna go ahead with it. What do you think?
He's gonna lose them anyway. Okay. I mean, I realize that Donald Trump has an ego the size of the state of Pennsylvania. Okay.
I think he's too kind.
Okay. He has a massive ego and no self-esteem. It's a terrible fucking combination, but he's got it. Okay.
But that's how that usually works.
But here's something. All human beings, all of us, experience loss. Right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what your situation is family-wise. My mother and father both died in the last 15 years.
I lost my father 15 years.
Yeah. I have buried bandmates in every band I've been in, practically. I lived people who were younger than I was, who had terrible habits. Back in the music scene from which I hail, it seems like every fourth or fifth of us overdosed, died of HIV or hepatitis or something. And, you mourn, you grieve, you keep going. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now in politics, it's the same thing. He'll try to wind them up, but he's no longer president of the United States. He's a little man flapping his gums in the breeze. He can't do it on Twitter, and he can't do it on Facebook, and he can't do it on Snapchat or Instagram or anything else. He's done, and there's no parlay, whatever you want to call it. That's gone now too. Gab or other platforms that the right-wingers are so fond of, the various numbered Chans and Reddit and all this stuff. He'll get banned from all of them eventually, because the owners of those platforms will see this guy and say he is a walking, talking liability. Okay, he will say something, and his followers will do something. They'll burn somebody's house down, will become liable. It is true that Section 230, the federal code, you know what that is, right?
I don't.
Okay. Twitter, Facebook, social media platforms are not legally liable for the content that people post.
Okay.
That protects them. Okay. Now, Trump wanted to get rid of that. He's angry at Twitter because Twitter would take his tweets down. Right. So he said, I'll show you. I'll get rid of Section 230, and people will sue you every day, Jack Dorsey. Okay. So, Joe Biden is probably like, social media companies will be liable to litigation for the things they put up. Oh, hell yeah. It's like, little Mark Zuckerberg with his short bus haircut and his ugly face. It's like, your legal liabilities just went through the roof. I was telling my wife this not too long ago. I go, what do you think happens if they get rid of Section 230? I go, Jack Dorsey at Twitter now has to hire 30 or 40 attorneys. Okay, full-time attorneys. Going to have to hire 10 times that number of people to police every corner of Twitter to make sure nobody puts up something he can get sued for. And little Marky Zuckerberg in San Francisco, 5 times that amount. Okay. Right. Now, Facebook is a very, very profitable concern, as we are broadcasting over it as we speak. Right. Okay. But it becomes considerably less profitable if they can be sued for the stuff that they put up. And if they knowingly put something up that is absolutely not true and has been verified and proven not true, and they put it up anyway, and somebody says this isn't true, and as a result, this person or this entity got hurt. Now that was no Section 230 to protect them, they're in court. Now they're at the Ninth Circuit Court in San Francisco going,
right.
They don't want that, So I suspect that everything and anything Trump says or does from here on in is tainted by two things. One, he's not the president of the United States anymore, so he doesn't have a bully pulpit. And secondly, and most importantly, and most gratifyingly, he's a loser. He lost. You lost. Dawn, you're a failure. You failed. You crapped out. You're a one-term president. You lost an election to a 78-year-old opponent that nobody was excited about. Joe Biden finished fifth in New Hampshire, and he beat you by 7,100,000 votes. You know what that makes you, Don? You're a loser. You're a failure. You're weak. You crapped out. Once again, you've proven. This is the voice of his dad in the back of his head.
That's right.
Once again, you'll never be me. Or if I may put it in the most crude possible terms I can think of, Mona, are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
It's like this. Trump.
I think you might be giving him too much credit there.
Yeah, okay, but the point is, by the way, I love doing that. That horrifies people. Do you know what I have to confess, because my wife's in the next room and she was there and saw this with me. I got the idea for this thing at a Clippers Celtics basketball game at the sports arena. No, the Clippers used to play at the sports arena on New Year's Eve. I can't remember how many years ago. My wife and I went. I got tickets from KF 570 from the sports station, right? So we had great seats right behind the stanchion. And this one Clippers fan is just ceaselessly heckling the Celtics guard, a player by the name of Ricky Davis. And Ricky was sort of this funny, thuggy, silly. He was ridiculous. Okay. He was a very, very funny guy. He could have been a much greater player than he was, but he wasn't. He didn't have the concentration. Ricky had a good career. But anyway, he looks at the fan and he does the me, this, you, that. I was laughing so hard. I was like convulsing. I was going back and forth. I was just like howling. I was cracking up. And Ricky and I made eye contact and I went, and he went back, thank you. And it was just like, it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. It's funny. So
Johnny, okay, we're gonna wrap up, but so you agree with me that that Trumpy is not gonna quit. Trumpy's gonna go out in flames, baby, burning down in flames. He's getting impeached, though, right, Johnny? He's getting impeached.
Yeah, he's getting impeached. But the thing is, he may resign if it's put to him the same way it was put to Nixon. Okay, we don't have the votes to protect you. McConnell. Look, the Democrats have 50 votes. All 50 of them, all of them, Manchin and Sinema, even the ones that are fence sitters, they're all going to vote to get rid of you. I mean, Manchin and Sinema voted to impeach you before. They certainly will again. Okay, we know at least 10 Republicans are lost. Romney and Murkowski and Sass and Pat Toomey, who's not running for re-election. They're going to tell their friends, look, you have to impeach and remove him. He fomented a coup. Okay, you have to do that. We don't have any choice. You may fear his base, but here's the deal: if he is impeached and removed by the Senate and disgraced,
Yeah.
Okay, what is he going to do? He will be the first president in history to be impeached and convicted.
Yeah.
Okay, because Clinton was impeached, they didn't convict him. Andrew Johnson, one lousy vote, which
Yeah.
he had to buy. A senator named David Ross from Kansas, they bought him off. Okay, and that's how they saved Andrew Johnson's skin. So anybody who tells you the government is more corrupt now than ever, it's always been corrupt. Okay, but it's like,
I think there's just a lot more money in government and in politics than in
Sure. But I mean, consider the obvious here is like his hardcore fans can go as nutty as they want. But the fact of the matter remains, you pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed for a month. This was your last ditch attempt to stop Biden from being certified the winner. You couldn't even get 15, 20,000 people in D.C. to march on the Capitol. How many people actually marched on the Capitol? 2,000, 2,500? That's the best.
30,000. That's the number.
Okay. They may have had 30,000 at the speeches, but there were no 30,000 people at the House. Okay, they would have overwhelmed House security easily with 30,000. But with 2,500 people, you can jam the corridors down so that only a few can get through. Jam the doors, and then nutsy cuckoo bisexual threesome lady got shot in the throat. Okay, so it's like their high watermark has already happened. Even the nuttiest, craziest worshippers of Donald Trump. Like I said, life goes on. You lose stuff, life goes on. They have bills to pay. Okay. They have Mona, they've got COVID. They've got businesses. They've got loved ones. As nutty as it sounds, because the ones who are really, really bad in all this, so the ones with that piece of crap with the Camp Auschwitz hoodie, he's an unemployed drunk from Virginia. Okay. And the guy with the 6 million weren't enough. That shirt. I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating. I'm not shutting up yet, lady. Okay, I'm going to do a Kamala on Mike Pence on you. I'm talking.
I'm speaking.
I'm speaking, Mona. I'm speaking.
I wanted to add to what you were saying.
Which, by the way, that was one of the funniest things I ever saw in my life. When she turned her head to the side and she goes, I'm speaking, Mike. I'm speaking. Yeah. No, it's just like, you're not shutting me up. I don't have to play along with your bullshit, pal. We're going to win. And you know it. So I'm speaking. I'm going to be the vice president. You ain't. Okay. So above and beyond that, I'm speaking. It was heartbreaking to me. Two things. One, that the Camp Auschwitz guy doesn't live in LA County. And that the 6 million aren't enough, doesn't live in LA County, that they're not near me. Because I look at it like this. I just say, I'd love to meet them, and say, I like a good spirited debate. I really do. I like a good spirited debate. Here's the thing that I know about people who wear Camp Auschwitz shirts and 6 million were not enough. People that say stuff like that is when they don't have gangs of their friends around, they're remarkably more sedate for some reason. Like when they're one-on-one with somebody, they're not quite, there's not quite as much bravado or braggadocio. I'd say, it's just old me and you, just the two of us.
Yeah.
I'd smile at him and I'd go, suppose I decided you're not walking out of here. Suppose I just decided that was going to happen. I can enforce that, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're afraid.
Yep.
You weren't so afraid before. You know what's amazing? You got this guy, Camp Auschwitz, with what is it? Albeit Mach frei, work his life, that bullshit on his chest. Okay, this guy with his 3 DUIs, this drunk from Virginia, and you got the one with the 6 million murdered Jews weren't enough.
Jesus.
Right down the hall from them was the son of a Orthodox Jewish judge in Brooklyn, New York. He was also marching with them. I'd like to come up to him and say, Bobby, Landsman, we're both Jews. Only the difference is that this particular Jew, me, doesn't associate with people who wear Camp Auschwitz gear. Here's an interesting thing for you. Years and years and years and years ago, I used to train at Gold's Gym on Cole Street in Hollywood.
Yeah.
One afternoon, I was in there. You train there?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. They booted me out.
Oh, really?
They wanted to raise my membership up considerably. I am part of an unwanted minority in the building, and they were trying to squeeze us out. In fact, I'm surprised you're there, considering you're not part of the wanted majority there either.
Not anymore. Yeah.
No, Mona. I hate to tell you this, but you don't have a penis, they don't want you there. Okay.
It's true, Johnny. I just hired a nice Jewish boy to be my trainer today, so I'm very proud of that.
Okay, make sure that he doesn't have COVID. Anyway, all right. One afternoon, I'm in there. This guy's training. He got a swastika tattoo on his neck, and his head was shaved. I'm there with a friend of mine, getting angrier and angrier, and he said, "You don't know the circumstances that he got the tattoo. You don't. There could be a backstory you don't know." He goes, "I understand how you feel." He said, "But more likely than not, he's from the Aryan Brotherhood prison. That's where he got the tattoo. Let it pass." And he said, "I know what you wanted. You want to walk over with a weight, bang, down on his forehead and go, 'Nice tattoo.'"
Exactly.
But you can't do that.
Right.
He says, "I know what you want to do." Because I'm like, you're pumped up anyway, that's going to kill this guy. And it's like, you don't. But the thing is that when you willfully associate with people that would do that kind of thing, Camp Auschwitz, that volunteer. Look, it's one thing if I have to make it through a prison sentence and I don't want to get stabbed in the neck by somebody. Yeah, I might tattoo something on me that I, don't particularly not proud of later, right? Sure. I had to do it to live. This Jewish judge's son didn't have to be there in Washington D.C. with these goddamn Nazis. It's like that's what I would say. Like when I find out, you're talking about the
Brooklyn judge, right? The Brooklyn judge.
Yeah. Okay. His kid or his grandkid is there with his beard and his Trump crap on. When I find out about Jews who support Donald Trump, and it's always for the same reason, mind you. It's not the one you think. It's not because we love having low taxes because we're obsessed with money and all that. I know that's a stereotype, right? But that's not it. They believe that Trump, because he moved the embassy in Israel, is a friend of Israel. And I go, he's not a friend of Israel. He's a friend of Bibi Netanyahu's. Yes. And Netanyahu is no friend to Israel. Okay, he's a criminal. He's stolen from the people of that country. And Bibi Netanyahu, and I go, and we're talking about this today. I said, Bibi Netanyahu, with his foresight, I have news for you. The people that ring Israel are reproducing at a significantly higher rate than Israelis are. One day they will drive you into the ocean unless there's a two-state solution. When you are outpopulated, you're out. That's it, man. Doesn't matter how many guns you have. Doesn't matter how smart we are. We have nukes, whatever. There are 7 million of them and 3 million of us that are driving you right into the damn sea. It's going to happen. Unless you actually make peace with your neighbors. Exactly. It ain't so damn hard.
Exactly. I hope not. And I'm just like you. I'm all about the two-state solution. I mean, look, I don't want Palestinians in the ocean, and I don't want Jews in the ocean. I want peace. Like I want that two-state solution. I want the young people to step up to the plate and be like, our future is not going to be colored by the the doings of our ancestors from the past.
It's a much more complicated situation.
I know it is.
And also, one thing that people don't ever grasp when they go into the issue of how Israel and its neighbors deal with each other is they lose common sense. It's like what you always look for in any transaction is this person who is doing this action, how are they benefiting from this action? Like, what are they getting out of this? Exactly. That's what I've taught my sons. I've told you this on this podcast a zillion times. One more time won't hurt. Think like a junkie thinks. A dope fiend always wants to know what's in it for you. They know what's in it for them. They always want dope, But when you're playing games with a junkie is trying to figure out what's their angle. What do they want? Okay. And that's what the Israelis and Arabs should be dealing with each other. What do they really want? Okay. Why would Palestinians who have nothing, who aren't even regarded as a legitimate group of people outside of Israel and Jordan, Palestinians aren't even recognized as people. They're recognized as indigents, the Bedouins, the homeless, they're treated like homeless people at Echo Park. Okay. They're treated like they're invisible. Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm a Palestinian, I'm going to go, I don't get it. I'm a Muslim. I'm an Arab. And how come we don't get anything from Saudi Arabia? They've got all the money in the world. Why don't they give us something? And they realize maybe Saudi Arabia is on the side of Israel after all. And we're just pawns to get kicked back and forth to keep them in power.
Yep.
As long as we hate the Israelis are our oppressors half the time, but our other oppressors half the time, Saudi Arabia, Iran.
Yep.
Okay. Those are the people who genuinely oppress us. It's like, they don't help us. I mean, if you're Iran or Saudi Arabia, you've got plenty of money. It's like, here's an idea. Why don't you drop a few billion into the West Bank so that the people who live there have clean running water, food, and work?
That's right.
Okay. Then they're happier. Okay. Then they're like, oh, who cares what the Jews?
Well, Johnny, with the Saudis, I quite frankly would never want the Saudi money to be dropped in Palestine, mainly because every time Saudi Arabia goes to a Muslim country, what they do is they drop a Wahhabism, right? That's their angle. Anytime they do that in Pakistan, whenever they drop checks in any Muslim country, there is an exchange that happens, and that is that they are going to come and preach their Wahhabism, and that's how they keep the power. So they're not. I pray to God that they never give money to Palestinians because they're.
But here's the thing. Palestinian the unemployment in Gaza 70%. Okay, 3 out of 4 people working age in Gaza.
How do people survive, Johnny?
They barely do. Okay. And you're talking about Gaza. Gaza's on the goddamn ocean. It's not like it's in the middle of nowhere. It's a gigantic strip on the Mediterranean. Okay. It's valuable real estate. All right. There's no reason there should be 70% unemployment. Okay. Yeah. But there is, because the Israelis don't want to give them any money. The Saudis don't. Nobody wants to give them any money. Everybody wants to punt them back and forth, kick them around like a soccer ball. Yeah. Gaza was part of Israel for a while, then it isn't, then it is. It's part of Egypt for a while, then it isn't, then it is. And what was really funny is when people were debating the stimulus checks and that sanctimonious piece of crap, Josh Hawley, gets up in the Senate and goes, look at the foreign aid we have here. Look at foreign aid. And everybody all over Facebook is like, he's right. That's our money. And I'm like, you do understand that the United States in 1978 signed a treaty with Israel and Egypt promising them a certain amount of money every year, which means it's law. That's part of our budget as law. If you sign a treaty, it's law in the United States. And by the way, what Israel and Egypt get, about $5 billion between the two countries or so. How much money would it cost to give every American $2,000? $400 billion. In other words, 80 times that. In other words, it's a drop of piss in the ocean. Okay. But it's so easy to manipulate people against their wishes. Oh, I got an idea. Don't give Israel the money and don't give Egypt the money. Guess what happens in a couple of years? They start fighting with each other. The Suez Canal closes and you have international collapse. Okay. It's the most used trade route in the world. Okay, so I mean, if that's what you want, like I point out to people, you understand, we bribe Israel not to fight with Egypt. We bribe Egypt not to fight with Israel. The Camp David Accords were a fancy way of us bribing them not to attack each other, and maybe to encourage Jordan and Syria when Syria was a real place, or Lebanon when it was an actual country and not a war zone. They're like, hey, we want to get in on that too, and so you just simply give them enough money to not fight with each other, and they don't. They're like, yeah, okay, we don't want to fight with each other, but it's the American taxpayer. I don't think is into that right now. It was a pleasure talking.
Johnny, I honestly, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm saying, like, I think 90% of the stuff I feel that we talk about here, I mean, our viewers here are pretty smart and want to be informed and want to learn. But I feel like majority of Americans don't even know half the shit that we talk about here. They don't even know.
Boy, you are charitable today.
I'm very charitable. I'm very charitable.
No. This is what they know. We know this. They know this. Okay? Seriously, they don't know anything. You know something? They don't want to know anything. Yep. Donald Trump was on The Apprentice for 11 years, and Donald Trump is a successful businessman whose name is on everything, and Donald Trump is a billionaire. He's a success. And I hate Hillary Clinton because she's a bitch.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
That's it.
They run it's like they vote by meme. Yeah. Okay. And we just happened to get lucky in the last election where people looked at Biden and they said, he's been through hell on earth.
Yeah.
He lost his wife. He's lost 2 of his children. It's like, and look, as I see right wingers trying to attack Biden with the same crap day in and day out on Facebook. I laugh at him. Good luck. Got an approval rating of 57% as we speak today. It's 10 points higher than Trump ever was. Okay. And I got news for you. It'll be 57% next year and the year after that, too. Because at this point, the battle lines are drawn. And even people who are on the far left for whom Joe Biden is way too far to the right for them and too conservative, they look at him and they go, he's a nice man.
Yes.
Donald Trump is not a nice man. Yeah. As I said, when Biden was nominated last year to run against Trump, I said, it's really simple. He's not an asshole.
That's right.
Donald Trump's an asshole.
That's
okay.
Right.
Even people who admire him and like him go, yeah, he's an asshole.
That's true.
But Joe Biden, it's like
right.
He's a nice guy. Joe Biden is like the uncle or the grandfather most people say people whose parents had them late and they never got to meet their grandpas. When they fantasize, at least white folks will look at a Joe, maybe a lot of black folks too, and Latinos would look at, Tio, Joe, Jose, right?
Yeah.
And they look at him and they're like, geez, I wish my uncle was like that. He's a day laborer. I never met him. He died before I was born. Sure. I wish my uncle was like Tio Joe. Mm-hmm. Has ice cream for me. He's funny, says funny things, knows my nickname and teases me. Yeah. As opposed to Donald Trump, who seems to hate everybody. He seems to hate his own children. How can you hate your own children? He seems to hate them. It's like he'll throw them under the bus. You've got no problem with that. He'll do it too. He'll do it. Johnny,
all right. Pleasure, my friend. Thank you, Johnny. I will see you soon. Thank you always. I will stay safe out there. Yeah. Exactly. Well, go get your vaccination.
Yeah, I'll find out. We'll find out probably tomorrow or Thursday. Like I said, though, Dodger Stadium, we're going to probably see 15 to 20,000 people the first day they have it.
James said, thanks, Mona and Johnny. You are great. I love your chats. Have a great evening. Thank you very much, James.
Thanks for that, Mona, because, I still haven't, I'm 64 and a half, and I still haven't learned how to read. Is that what he said?
I was just reading it out loud for everybody else.
Okay. See you later.
See you later, Johnny. Bye. That was the lovely Johnny Wendell. I know you guys enjoyed the conversation because I always do when Johnny Wendell comes out. I did want to mention, I know Johnny had to run, but I wanted to mention, I don't know if you guys know this one conspiracy theory by QAnon. I shit you not. One of the conspiracy theories is that Amy Coney Barrett is the daughter of Joe Biden, the daughter that he lost in a car accident along with his wife. And they say, one of the conspiracy theories is that she survived, and it's actually Amy Coney Barrett who has been confirmed by President Trump or former president to the Supreme Court. So that's it for today, you guys. It just keeps getting fucking crazy with the QAnons and the fucking crazy ass Trump supporters. If you guys haven't followed me on my YouTube channel, please do. It would mean the world to me. I am trying to get it to monetize. I'm 2/3 of the way. The numbers are increasing pretty nicely. But if you can go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to it, you can go to youtube.com/Mona, my last name Sheikh, and the word comedian. You can subscribe to it. And if you can just please watch the Mona's Rants playlist, watch the Minority Reports playlist, and some of the other playlists that I have, my stand-ups playlists on there. You guys can watch all my stuff. It would be amazing. I'm trying to rack up my hours, my watch hours on YouTube, so I can get monetized. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mona's Comedy. And I'm also now on TikTok. Exclusive TikTok content is on TikTok. And you can find me at Shake Mona 69. Don't ask me. They didn't have the Mona Shake comedian available. So I have Shake Mona 69. If you want to follow me on TikTok, I have exclusive content there. And of course, you can follow me on Facebook at Mona Shake Comedian. You guys, I will see you tomorrow with a brand new guest. Have a good night. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow.